Let's just get this out of the way. Captain Marvel is absolute. We finally get more of the backstory on how Nick Fury loses his eye, but this isn't his story. For the first half of Captain Marvel, I was confused. I mean, I didn't really know what was going on, and I'm sitting there trying to figure out exactly what's happening and who is who. But I loved it because Brie Larson as Captain Marvel, she's doing the exact same thing. She's trying to figure out who she is. And so I'm right there along with her. And I liked that as an aspect of this film. Larson plays Marvel with a sarcastic and slightly snarky tone, but with a lot of heart. And I think she did a solid job in her role. Sam Jackson is also snarky and sarcastic, but he's also got this softness to him, all the while retaining the coolness of Fury. The story feels a little slow, but that's because we're being introduced to who Captain Marvel is. Now, when I think about the other first stories in the MCU, you know, when we are introduced to a new character, they're also slow. I mean, take Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, Black Panther, Doctor Strange. I mean, all of those are setting up who these characters are, and they're really giving us a well-rounded just backstory on their character so that we're invested in them, because then when we see them later on in subsequent movies, we're really like, ooh, yes, I like that person. Or even if we don't like them, at least we fully know who they are. And that's what Captain Marvel is doing here. I mean, it's setting this up because we have not been introduced to her in the MCU up until this point. Now, there are other first stories in the MCU like Ant-Man that isn't slow at all. I mean, but that's more of a comedy with a little bit of superhero thrown in versus the other way around. And then take Spider-Man Homecoming. I mean, we've already had 2 backstories of Spider-Man before Homecoming even comes into play. We don't need to see Peter Parker get bit by a spider once more. So they can just jump right into the action and be good to go. So while not every single first story in the MCU is slow, there are more than a handful of them that just really, you know what, they take their time, and I appreciate that. And that's what I appreciate also in Captain Marvel. Now, because the movie is set in the 90s, we get a killer soundtrack. I just wish some of the songs would have lasted longer so that we could fully rock out to them. Ben Mendelsohn and Jude Law are also in this, and they give solid performances, and they really enhance just the drama and the tension of the story. Now, some of the jokes in this movie just kind of fell flat, or they felt forced. And then other parts of it just flowed really naturally. So it wasn't consistent in the humor. I think more often though, the humor was more of a sarcastic tone. And so you would kind of chuckle along with it or just kind of nod and yeah, okay, I get that. But again, some of it did just feel forced. Then you take some of the special effects and most of them were awesome. Most of them were really well polished and just great. But then there were a couple of times where they just felt almost unfinished. Like they just weren't totally complete or that they felt just wrong. And there you go. So after seeing this, Captain Marvel is going to kick some serious butt in Endgame. I mean, I cannot wait to see what she does and how she plays a part in the overall story with Thanos. Goose the cat is a scene stealer, and so he's awesome to watch. He's played by like 4 different cats, but he's awesome. And then watching Nick Fury participate or interact with Goose is even better. I mean, we get a small glimpse in the trailer, but just the whole interaction and the way that he's drawn to the cat, and it works really well. Their chemistry together is great. There are 2 end scenes. One is mid-credits and one is post-credits, so make sure you stay to the very end to watch both. For me, I had a lot of fun watching Captain Marvel. I mean, I didn't read or get into all of the hoopla that surrounded the film or just, you know, the trolls on the internet or whoever they were that was talking bad about it who hadn't seen the movie or whatever. Any of that drama I didn't get into, so I don't totally know about it other than on the periphery. But after seeing it, I had a blast, and I really enjoyed seeing and learning about Carol Danvers and Captain Marvel and how she came to be. There's no sex or nudity, there is some profanity and some violence. I give Captain Marvel 4 out of 5 couches. What is your favorite film in the MCU to date? I'd love to know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris, this is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for couching with me.